whether it's
Thank
a close win or not.
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously it's an interesting way to try and sort of manifest a possibility. I think it's a bit of a stretch though, right? The Dallas Fuel, like a shaky start. Let us remember that their only loss so far this season was that first matchup in a pretty hostile crowd scenario against the Houston Outlaws. Since then, they've really plugged a lot of the gaps, shored up a lot of the deficiencies in their play, and they're one of the biggest proponents of this ghost diet, this dirty bubble composition, right, that features Reaper with the Zarya combo, getting him right in everyone's face. Like we saw the Titans try and pull off on Route 66 just now, Matt. It looks much better with Dallas piloting it, to be sure. The Paris Eternal remain a bit of an enigma, right? What look are we going to get from today? What's been the best working strategy from this team?
I think it's been Don in the lineup, playing some of those Winston looks. I don't think that the Zarya look has really worked for them when they've had Vistola in. So you play this Winston-based composition with Wub in the lineup now, pretty much full time. And you see how far you can go with that. But man, the Dallas Fuel outside of that first game, which you don't want to like give a total excuse to them in terms of nerves, right?
No,
they didn't really play.
No.
Yeah, you can't really kind of like let them off the hook for that. But since then, they have been very strong. Some big wins here early on, 4-1. Obviously trying to qualify for the kickoff clash in their own hometown, right? So 3-1, but they were still looking pretty good. It's interesting we saw Doha last week as well. Doha, maybe on the Soldier could be a pretty impact player as well today.
Yeah, this is also a series where Dallas might look to try and, use some of those auxiliaries. Shout out to production who had to loop the same music 3 times over but before we were finished with that little preamble. Here's your Dallas Fuel, though. Edison and Doha come in to start off. We've talked about Dallas getting some reps into players that aren't Sparkle and Edison. Johnny teased Gurio a little bit. Obviously, Doha, a veteran member of this team and, instrumental in their success last year, will come in at that second DPS slot.
Yes, Genji has kind of fallen out a little bit. Same with Echo. We've seen them put Doha in, and Doha on Soldier 76. Edison can play, the Tracer and other heroes like that. So maybe this is a look we see from the Dallas Fuel moving forward. I know Sparkle, obviously a fan favorite, Doha as well, but I know Doha looks pretty good in their last series playing that Soldier 76.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice that they can, have a potential double hit scan look with this setup, right? I think maybe as time goes on, we start to see Western teams take a leaf out of maybe the book in the East, in APAC rather, where we see a bit more of that Ashe play. Perhaps that's a direction we go in, or maybe these regions will just stay diverse in their looks until we see them clash. Let's have a look, though, at this Paris Eternal roster. Wub, their newest addition, fits like a glove in this team. I think there's no doubt about it. And Glister was able to show some of his individual prowess in their previous matchup. This team, I think this is a good team, honestly. Bit of a rough run, some very difficult matchups. I think Dan on that Winston is very good. Maybe by comparison too good, because a lot of the time he's accounting for a lot of the final blows that this Paris team gets on control maps. His Winston is very forward, in your face and involved. And it's definitely a matter of seeing Glister and Wub be there to sort of meet him as he goes for those dives. Remember, you've got one of the most aggressive Lucio players on this team in Dridro as well.
I feel like Dridro and Khan have been the bright spots for this team, though, with kind of chaos going around in terms of like the DPS lineup. Wub in, Naga out, Don or Vistola, who's going to play. The supports have really been the duo that have been a bright spot for the Paris Eternal. You need to see them play a huge game today. They're going to take down the Dallas Fuel. First map in the series will be Ilios. Then we go to Midtown and Circuit Royale. New Queen Street if we get there.
So I want to take everyone back a little bit to the Dallas Fuel's, one of their last games, where we saw Hanbin sort of forced, I want to say, to play Winston on Lighthouse. Now, we start here at Well, so it may not be so much of an issue there, but we were concerned whether Hanbin maybe had the depth of hero pool to be able to play all 3 of these stages, with equal effectiveness. That question still lingers because Hanbin only played Winston for a short time, but it looked very good. No surprises, though, here to see Dallas maybe open with their Zarya base comp.
So we'll see what they build around the Zarya. For a second there, I thought we were going to see a little Roadhog action. Get McGravy going wild on Twitter telling people, please don't copy us. It does not work. So,
I mean, I would be wanting to sow misinformation from the Florida Mayhem right now.
It's true, Moss can.
That's
Well on the Echo here. Echo with an Auto Mercy combination. Okay, so putting a lot of resources into Wub, trying to make him a difference maker.
Right. Again, around the Zaya, I'm very interested to see how this operates. Edison, by the way, currently holds the #1 score for eliminations in the league on Reaper. And Doha's added to his tally there as Wub gets absolutely backhand.
Yeah, it just goes right at Doha, and Doha pulls a few bullets in his face, finishes him off as Don hit pretty hard by those Reaper shotguns. Gonna have to back up as just that first kill onto Wub. And the thing about this, you're investing so much in him with the Mercy pick as well. For him to drop early, I mean, that's a big loss.
You have no excuse. You don't really have an excuse to get
Mercy wasn't near him there, to be fair.
Yeah. And that's the problem. You can't just single pocket that player. Nice job by Glister finding Doha, and Harmon doesn't have the bubbles to keep him alive. Dallas overextend a little bit into the Paris Eternal, and their foes are ready for him.
I think this is when we casted Paris the other day, what we saw is Glister goes on these like long flanks and tries to, you know, sometimes it works, but sometimes by the time he gets in position, his whole team's dead. That time it ends up working out as he's able to flank, pick up a few kills.
The only player I've seen who wants to flank as much as Doha is Neist from the Toronto Defiant last year. That's the kind of player that would spend 80% of his time on the map walking to get in position. Nice to see players that, you know, are so cognizant of how they can set themselves up for success here, and the low economy, not requiring a huge investment from the rest of their team to have success. And Glister has to do that when he has a pocketed Echo on his team, so bear that in mind. Nice little bottle there from Hanbi. That puts Edison in such a power position. What can he do against this, though? Not much. Turntail, get the heck out, and he'll just escape inside that small room. Hanbi has to use a lot of his bubbles, but it's enough. Glister overextends.
Yeah, this will be a Valkyrie used as well from Dritro, so maybe are you able to get a res? Yeah, they're able to get Glister back in the fight as the Paris Eternal still in control at this point.
Yeah, I mean, no one's looking at Dawn right now, which is fine, but eventually they need to deal with the threat of this Winston. There it is. Okay, Hanbin very charged up in the pocket from Dritro, not enough to keep him healed. But again, the res buys a lot of time. Paris maintained the tempo advantage for a lot of that fight, giving themselves a comfortable lead for now.
Now, when you play this Echo, you're almost kind of inviting Dell's Fuel, like, hey, counter it with a Tracer, right? But you know that Edison would be that Tracer player, and they need his Reaper to make this composition work. And they're not going to move off of the 76. That's kind of why Doha's in the roster. So I think maybe with the Echo, you take a little bit of advantage against it. Yeah.
When we had Sparkle playing the Echo, did we not see Doha play some Tracer?
A little bit, I believe.
Right.
No, not as much. Sparkle ended up being, I know, their Tracer player primarily. You actually had Doha playing some of that Echo.
Ah, exactly. All right. So those two are relatively interchangeable, but again, Dallas don't really feel like they have a strong Tracer position in this matchup. Now, they hold the point for the time being. This Graviton Surge from Hanbin, it needs to be a big one, and looks like it's going to be good enough. Hanbin very low, backs away, but he catches Dritro inside that, who would have been a real issue after he switched to this Lucio.
You know, Glister was on another flank, and could do a few shots in Edison, then Edison wraithformed away. And when the grab comes down, Glister goes to turn and kind of shoot train, like help some of his teammates, but just gets blown up by Edison from behind. Wub has had this duplicate for a while now. What can you do with it? Edison looking to lurk from the high ground.
All right, ignores the soldier, probably the good move. Glister's able to find Hanbin as he drops down with that biotic enhancement. Sleep Dart doesn't connect here, but Edison needed the staying power. He took too much damage and he won't get away to his team at all. There's no chance for him here. Dallas will have to settle for 99.
Yes, once you lost Hanbin, it's very difficult for Edison to make that work with no Zarya bubbles. They're just kind of standing in front of Fielder, trying to give him some shots, get him closer to that Nano, and he's going to have it now. Nano Death Blossom possibly here for Dallas Fuel.
Alright, here's the duplication. Wub. I think he went for a Sleep Dart instantly off the high ground, so kind of a nice spot.
He didn't get anything with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a shame considering you normally can't play from here as Ana ever. Okay, Glister attack visor. Paris are looking for something here. They get Chiyo and one Hosto. Wow, that's dirty. Glister whips around. Helix Rocket connection on Doha. He's had his number so far this round. And Edison, fair enough. That's not subtle, but it works.
How is he alive?
He's been able to avoid somehow the Lucio. Got back into his own backline. I think he didn't have TP available, so it had to be a rate walk. Dallas need to find some purchase on the point here right now, Matt. That's kind of the issue. A lot of damage on Dan. Paris losing Dan. He's devastating for them right now. How do you bounce back from this? The answer is maybe not. They need the sound barrier and they need it now.
Yeah, Bionic Grenade that comes in, connects with 2 players. Looks like Jojo just wants to contest for a quick second there. OT comes in, sound barrier drops.
They don't get down on it though, and they have attack visor from Doha, and well, I mean, dressed to the nines in a sound barrier.
I don't know how Edison lived through the 1 foot TP in front of himself into the Death Blossom. When we were looking at it, it didn't look like he got a Zarya bubble. It looked like maybe just like a little bit of healing and some lifesteal was able to push him over the line, keep him up. But
it was an unlikely an escape as you see in any Vin Diesel in the Rock movie. You know what I mean? All of them are.
Well, you always know they're going to escape.
Yeah, this guy just basically ran down the side of a building while it was collapsing.
Yeah.
Nice job.
I mean, that's essentially the plot of Skyscraper. Spoilers, but it's essentially the
Wow, they escape? Oh, man.
Spoilers.
What's the point?
Be a pretty grim movie if they didn't.
I mean, so at least it would subvert expectation for once. Oh dear. Anyway, our expectations are intact from Dallas. Paris also playing that unpocketed echo look here from Mike that we saw for most of well. They're looking pretty comfortable with this setup. Edison fairly deep early on. He's been called upon to be a standout for Dallas if they're going to have real consistent success this season.
So teams will trade both tanks. It looked like Edison was trying to decide, is it worth going back to help the supports? The supports probably communicated they were fine, but they ended up losing Hanbin as they weren't able to get any line of sight on it. But tanks traded out as Don goes deep to try and make that play. When the tanks are traded out here, Mitch, I feel like Dallas still has a pretty big advantage because the Reaper is so kind of like tanky for DPS, right? Especially,
and also there's no one
the Wraith form,
and no one really threatens Doha anymore. Tough to sort of dive him. You have to just sort of shoot him at range. Edison looks like he's dialed in here. Got himself a defensive bionic grenade, getting healed up there as well. Still, he's very conservative. He still wraiths early quite often. Fielder getting picked off by Glistener is a bad omen from Dallas Fuel. And he looks to try and work down the Overwatch version of omen. All right, his attack visor now, but one's already gone down. And Glister needs to find a little bit of value here. And not all the Glisters is gold, apparently, as he comes up with very little. There was Darn able to take Hardbin. Khan's out of the picture.
Off of this kind of brawl, you're going to end up with above 50% at worst here for Dallas Fuel. They're going to invest a nano into this on the Doha. And maybe try and thought they could extend it and win that fight out, but not able to do so. So they're going to get Fielder out with his life. Don gets slept, but it's not going to be enough to pick him up.
Yeah, it's a non-investment there, I think. It's always speculative anyway when you're playing against an Ana, if you want to sort of nano boost that Soul to 76. Dallas, though, it's a comfortable, it's a healthy buffer, and they're building towards yet another Graviton surge here. Edison, I mean, pretty much has to play around these pillars so he doesn't have to get Zarya bubbled constantly. Again, conservative as he backs away awful fast, and the sticky bombs are still going to catch him out. I wonder how much legs this Reaper really has left for the Fuel.
It did seem like they had a Zarya bubble to keep him up, as that's going to be the grab that comes out as Hanbin takes out both DPS.
Done. It's single-handedly trying to keep the backline of the Dallas Fuel at bay, but he gets no help from his team because they were all caught inside Hanbin's grab, who propels himself forward with those right clicks just to try and get some more value. Dallas, though, will be happy enough taking the lead once more.
Yes, you lose your Reaper, who's kind of your battering ram in this type of setup, but it does not matter as Hanbin sees 2 players low. Graviton Surge takes out both DPS, which allows Dallas to flip the point back. It's unfortunate for the Paris Eternal. Now, they lived through that. They would have ended up taking the lead.
Edison playing towards the close quarters area here, hoping that there's a bait from Hanbin that works out. It doesn't, so he has to do his best Venom impression by just walking forward and taking enemy fire. Tactical visor, this is from Doha. And Glister's going to have one in a moment here as one dupes. Will he get duped here? Dropping on Doha though, nice positioning, but Doha already found 2 of the tactical visor. Glister now needs to respond in kind, he's also found 2 of his own. Edison found a secluded part of the map to break it down. He's able to find at least Dridro. But Glister is still at large.
Hanbin's still at large. Hanbin's still in the point. I mean, nobody's trying to make a play for him as Don. There's no way he's going to live through this damage that comes out.
No way. Now, he gets caught out alone. He had no choice but to try and go for it here. Dallas Fuel now on the precipice of taking this first map. Hanbin punching out some Z's. He's worked hard for it. Fair enough. Recall forced instantly by one, but he has to just try and keep this one going. And there's that sound barrier. Onto the Paris Eternal. Khan hit with a Vita Grenade, but Edison doesn't want to overcommit here. Lets the Sleep Dart claim him, and Khan still comes up with the goods. Not too shabby from Paris, but they've lost their backline now. The Tracer on the point for one, trying to keep this one alive, and Dunn wants to control Doa's positioning, but he's got so much defensive utility. And the Dallas Fuel will just be a little better than the Eternal in map number 1. But neither team looking particularly clean.
No, it's a little bit too late there for the Paris Eternal. Not able to make plays towards the end. They had an opportunity to. I feel like if they would have gotten those DPS out alive, when Hanbin gets that grab, they would have taken the lead, maybe able to use that sound barrier that they had towards the end in a bit of a better way. But Paris keeps it close here at map number 1.
Yeah, looking pretty decent again. That Winston look suits them well, and Wub on the Echo is a pleasant look. Paris Eternal definitely in a position to threaten here, but Dallas for a step ahead. Let's see if there's any catch up after the break. It's a hard-fought map one that reveals the Eternals' determination to stave off that 0-5 scoreline, but ultimately, it's the Dallas Fuel who prevail. It's not that clean when we see Edison struggling at times to find ways to get involved in the fighting with that Reaper, even with the Zarya bubbles, man.
Yeah, just some odd like Wraith forms. We've seen him do really nice stuff with that in the past. Not the best execution of it there on Ilios, but still enough to get the job done for the Dallas Fuel. As we go into Midtown, curious to see if they have to change anything up in terms of what they're trying to play. For me, I think you just keep rolling out this until Paris proves they can beat it. Interested in what Paris does, though, because we saw Wub playing the Echo there for a bit. So do we see him play Echo? Do we see him play Genji? We've seen him play Tracer a little bit. What kind of position do you put him in on this map?
Dredro asking for a different look here.
He's asking for Torb Moira, as Hanbin has said sure, which Hanbin can play neither Torb or Moira.
I mean, Edison, though, pretty dirty Torb player. He do be nasty. I think I'm pretty sure he played it on mid lane away.
We will not see Torb Moira.
He would play Torb, and Pelican, was it Pelican? Hey. Cassidy? Oh, I'm not sure. Either way, look, doesn't matter. It's not going to happen. Again, so, all right, let's talk about this Zarya versus Winston composition, right? Because Hanbin's probably going to stick to this. Are there any parts of the map that you really sort of favor Paris here, having a Winston? Or do you think the Zarya's just kind of got to be enough to...
The Zarya is going to control this choke. Can you get your supports through the choke? With the Zarya there in control. If Dawn and Wub dive in, right? You can bubble Edison, he can go back to kind of help the supports. And the Zarya can just control this choke. So I'm curious about how Paris plans to attack.
Alright. Dawn scouts the Zarya immediately. Okay, and they actually have an off-angle Reaper here for Edison, so... What if anyone's going to blunder into this one, or if they'll be ready for it? Or if Edison just announces his presence loudly, it's also fine.
Paris goes up to this high ground here.
Huh.
Not ready to make a play just yet. The good old
rotate.
bait and switch.
Little rotate. Oh, boil and mash and stick him in a stew. I don't mind this. Edison would like to drop from the high ground, but he's spotted out early from Dredro.
Now you're stuck in this alley.
Go up.
All right, let's track back around that way.
Yeah, they're looking for Top Cat. Oh, Glista got smashed by that Bionade, and Hanbin had a right click. I think they just ruined the soldier.
It seems like they're just trying to find a way to kind of get the Zarya away from the choke, right? Like I mentioned, you don't want to fight the Zarya at the choke, just kind of control it to get all through. But it's like they almost put themselves in a worse situation, right? Because they wrap through there, and then you're just playing out of a building with two entryways. What can you do? So now they go for the Reaper. A little bit more control, a little bit more damage. Going to scare Hanbin a little bit more.
Hanbin, who's seen it all before, no doubt. Sees a Reaper. Yeah.
He just runs right at him.
Start over.
Just runs at him in a straight line. Takes out Dawn.
Hey, he can't be punished.
No.
He can't be punished, and he gives Hanbin a huge amount of charge there. Doha finishes off. Ooh, Paris need to figure this out quick, man.
We've had two fights and really nothing happening for the Paris Eternal. Glister pretty far now from Attack Visor. Wub with the switch early, nowhere close to Death Blossom. Get this
I feel like they're just going to force this with a Nano Soldier Attack Visor at some point, and they're going to look good in that one fight.
I feel like
outside of that.
Well, I feel like if you Nano here at the choke, you're going to see the grab coming, right? Just Nano them. Just grab it up. Yep, there it is.
You got it, Matt.
And the Reaper with Edison the Reaper with the Nano gets right in his grill.
Yeah, electric shotguns playing the Paris Eternal, and that was your only real combo to force your way through. So Paris don't really have a subtle answer to this at all.
There's not much time on the clock.
Shut down.
And Paris has only gotten 3 fights this far. That first fight, where they're kind of like jostling for position, just took so much time off the clock.
Matt, the original comedy.
Are you even going to get? Are you going to get a Death Blossom? With the way this is going, I mean, you might towards the end. With the way this is going, though,
maybe last fight.
Yeah, how fast these fights are, it's not guaranteed.
Dawn is racking his brains. his scientist brain.
Death block.
Oh no, this is a death blossom! Get him out! Dredro on one, take it down. Edison sleeping it off there. And, okay, he's definitely not feeling too much pressure, I'm sure, as the Dallas Fuel haven't been pressured enough into using that sound barrier. And Paris need to make something happen with Primal here.
Not exactly working here for the Paris Eternal. It's gonna have a nano boost though, so maybe you can nano Dawn with the Primal. Yeah, but you mentioned sound barrier available for the Dallas Fuel. That'll be Dawn going in. He gets woken up straight away.
Sound barrier from Dredro got caught because he was very low there. Geo uses his first. Harmon a little low, doesn't get the grab. One's able to find his way in with the shotguns and the Fuel back out. So here's a chance for Paris now, but it's not guaranteed that the Fuel will regroup.
Doha comes out of the window and kills Spawn. You're going to be able to contest here. You're going to get the speed boost maybe on a Hanbin.
They're taxiing the Zarya in.
Yeah, and Hanbin's going to have grab here. I mean, that is a huge kill there by Doha.
2 ticks. Here we go. Hanbin on in. There's the grab. It's going to catch one. It comes out of right form into the grab. Oh, it's a disaster for the Paris Eternal. That hand has got absolutely baked.
Doha wins them that half, though. Being able to just come flying out of the window. Helix rocket and some damage on the con. Dredro can't go and taxi him back, right? They need him on the point. He's their only source of healing. And Han been able to get taxied on in with that grab, drops it right down. Wub using the Death Blossom, probably trying to keep people away from the grab at that point. So Paris does get 82% on the point. Still, dominant defense there from the Dallas Fuel. Making it look easy with that Zarya comp.
Smooth sounds of Jazz, quite a contrast from the frenetic pace of that attacking round from Dallas, rather defensive one. I mean, man, yeah, I mean, you were shocked when you saw that pick on Khan. I mean, if Paris were going to win any sort of fight short-handed or for a long period, they were going to have to rely on that Ana impact. I think he came out of Wraithwolf right in front of Hanbin voluntarily. He entered it early, but he got immediately sucked backwards into the grab that Hanbin deployed. Maybe there's a chance to eliminate the Zarya there if you're Paris, but it didn't line up that way for Wub. And now they're going to go with this Reinhardt Baptiste setup.
Yeah, Reinhardt Baptiste may. Some extra damage from the Baptiste, right? Then just there's no mobility here, though. If Dallas gets through the choke and starts to get players separated, it's going to be difficult to even get anything out of this Reinhardt. As they set up on the side of the train car here.
It's a good high ground comp. For now, they have a big rectangle to put in front of the Fuel. Shapes are good, right?
How the Fuel going to attack this? Just give Edison a bubble, send him on in. Seems to be the plan for everything.
The from Glister's good.
Doha going to go over to the Echo here. So you're going to get rid of the 76.
The Maywall seems so easy to circumvent here, though, in the choke. Because there's, there's 2 alternate ways to sort of approach the point. And Paris have already let Dallas in with that. Okay. What's the hope here with this Maywall?
I don't know. But look at the Rhine. He can't do anything.
Yeah. He's trying to hail a bloody bus. Get me out of here, he says. All right, Khan loses that immortality field, and Dan is felled as a result.
The nano boost already available pretty much from Fielder. You can nano Doha and send him up into this window, go right after Glister if you wanted. Glister, I think, has a feeling something was coming as he backs up.
Very safe play from Doha there. Can he get behind this? Oh my, that's filth! Glister taken down by the tri-shot, but the sticky bombs definitely made their marks. And remember, Dallas only need 2.5 ticks here. With 1 down, I've got bad news for you, ladies and gentlemen. The prognosis for you, Eternal fans, is dire. The Dallas Fuel take this one away all too easily. My, not a good look, Paris.
Yeah, Wub uses the Maywall there, but brings Edison in with him into that small area where he is a bubble. Just gets blown up as nothing goes right there for the Paris Eternal. Dallas clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah, dock some marks here because we didn't get to see the Torb Moira look from the Dallas Fuel even after they said they would, but my God, they're getting a lot of mileage out of this Zarya composition, and the Eternal can't seem to figure it out. There need to be some answers, and quick, coming from this Parisian squad. Stick around after the break, everybody, because there's a lot more to be told in this series. The Eternal need to avoid going 0-5. We all know they're better than that, but can they prove it? Calling all artists. We've loved seeing your incredible art submissions so far this season. Keep them coming. Don't forget to share your fan art celebrating the Overwatch League for a chance to be featured on the fan art gallery in the break. So look, the more art you guys submit, the less airtime Carl gets, which is a win in my book. But it's a very subjective opinion, as is many on art. Aesthetics is extremely subjective, as Matt's fashion style would imply.
You're wearing a watermelon shirt today.
And you know what? I'm going to do it again and again. I'm going to keep wearing this nonsense. I'm going to keep it fruity out here because that's what this series has been so far, Matt. Fruity. Maybe not necessarily the kind of fruit you like. Again, that's subjective. But for those fellow 2-0 enjoyers, this has been a treat thus far. But Paris, Matt, didn't have much to work with, or rather didn't create many opportunities to work with in Midtown. It was a sad and sorry state of affairs.
Yeah, it was not pretty. There's not really much to talk about from Midtown. For the Paris Eternal, Dallas Fuel just kind of ran over them. Some subs coming into this one. It'll be Vistola in for Dawn. So Dawn plays the first 2 maps, and then comes out Vistola in, and Guerrillo coming in for the Dallas Fuel. So Johnny wanted to see Guerrillo earlier in the day. He will come in for this next map.
All right, like was mentioned by Reinforce. It was good to see him, although not really seen a, okay, we didn't have the chance to see much of Guerrillo's gameplay showcased as well. One of his teammates was really.
I feel like for Johnny was all about checkmate last year, right? And like he barely played, but then he ended up playing tank. Where I feel like Johnny's checkmate of this year is going to be Guerrillo. Jojo offers the Torb Moira again, where Edison has said sure. Jojo trying to say you guys go Torb Moira first.
Yeah, you guys can see that chat at least, so that's great. Okay, so again, this is the kind of map where we've seen a little bit more of that, Widowmaker play. Reinhardt is also featured here. I'm really happy, obviously, to see this Sigma. Yeah, this is interesting. But against
Zen Brig backline. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So the idea is, right, that you're playing a poke composition around this Sigma, where you want to make sure your spacing is really effective and used along sight lines quite well. And obviously Widowmaker wants to do that anyway, so the rest of your game plan sort of follows along with that. Khan gave us some incredible moments. One of my favorites was the first name Khan, second name Idgeline when he was on Blizzard World. And he just got like 3K, all with like right clicks from extreme range. So this guy's really dangerous. Using Zen as like a long range damage threat.
Similar setup.
I hated their line, but I remember him.
Similar setup. I mean, I don't remember your lines. Nice shot there from Glister. Glister's going to be under a ton of pressure.
Oh, jeez. He's so different. He is so different, by the way, to people like Arns, who are really flick.
Yeah.
Glister is a tracking aimer on Widow. It's so interesting to watch because he really tries to line up the shot. But we've seen him flick like a madman before. Unfortunately, this time it's him that gets flicked back to spawn.
Yes, I worry for Paris. What do you do if this doesn't work? We've seen them.
You're about to find out, aren't you?
We've seen this look from them when they kind of play the Zarya with it, and it's not looked good thus far. So you're going to see them probably try and commit to this for as long as possible, as Cart moving in favor of the Dallas Fuel to get around this first corner. Going to get very close to taking that first checkpoint. Then you'll see the Paris Eternal drop. Try and contest.
Man, I live for the Hanbin Sigma as well. I love Circuit Royale because it's unique in its topography, and so we do get these compositions that are tailored to the map itself. Glister looking for a Zen. I think the waggle shaman hands were out there from Hanbin to block that shot. Edison looking to try and get her around that Sigma shield.
Dritro gets
back
really
and
well.
Yeah.
Dritro, he actually has his shield like broken there. Nice shot by Glister.
I mean, he's good for it. He is up for this kind of high-flying Widow action.
It's not going to be enough, though. The payload is going to go in. Dallas going to push up, try and take some of this high ground. I think both supports for Paris got the split spawn. Yeah, this is not great. But they might be able to make it out. Okay.
Remember how they're talking about, Matt, this Edison Tracer on this map, right? Something we see definitely not nearly as much of him on. Right now, though, he's yet to die.
He doesn't play. He doesn't play the Genji, so. What you miss here is like the verticality. As both of these Widowmakers just going for cliffs.
No one can hide.
Now at this point, maybe it's just bragging rights. Look, the Eternal are trying to lock in. Can't flattened by Hanbin there. This quarter orb really makes a difference. Glister, not good. Edison's able to run him down there. No one from his team could help him out. That's the spacing, though, in these poke compositions. Everyone playing so much around the Sigma that your Widow in the backline has very little help.
And Paris ended up using Rally, Blade, and walls there.
I didn't even notice how underwhelming it was.
So Dallas will come back. You try and make a play here with the Gravitic Flux. You have Transcendence available. Edison with another Pulse Bomb here. This will be Glister trying to match him in the Tracer.
To quote April, poet of our generation, bit of a pee-pee-poo-poo from the Eternal so far. Edison keeping Glister honest here. keeping him low in HP. That Transcendence came out well timed, but Vistola still goes down to the burst damage of Gurio. Once that shield is expired, he's a sitting duck.
And there's no Widowmaker on the other side now, so if he's able to just kind of have these free shots at range, it's going to be very difficult for the Eternal.
Yeah, this is uncomfortable viewing for those that are squeamish, I'll say that much. The Dallas Fuel looking pretty good. Again, the car, you know, stylized like an F1 car, very appropriate at the pace that Dallas are putting on.
We still got this Glister Edison Tracer matchup. I mean, there's people everywhere that Glister goes.
Sorry.
It's like, he looks left, he's got a Brig. Behind him, he's got a Tracer. He's got a Sigma in front of him.
Admire the Strata in his rock formation as I beat your head in with it. Time going back to get rid of the Tracer.
Usually where you would see like a 76, right? The Widowmaker doesn't get as much love this part of the map. Trying to hold through this doorway. Yeah, this is dangerous.
Remember the knockback element of accretion here is something that is not to be ignored. Lister got the pulse from stick on Gurio, but has to give his life for it, frankly. Chio just, well, sends Redrones to some kind of jail, and the deflect from Wampa is not going to be enough.
But also, I mean, you haven't seen Hanbin use a Gravitic Flux, and you knew that they had a rally. You knew that they had a rally. So, like, to push into the high ground there is so bad. That's a solo Flux there on a con. The payload is still moving, by the way.
I'm sorry, he's 7-0 with that gold damage. I know the medal's hard to ping anymore, but Hanbin deserves to wear one after this.
He's, like, standing in their spawn. Like, he doesn't care. As the payload continues to move on in. Glister, they're going to have walls now. I mean, it's just not a good day for the Paris Eternal. They're getting spawn killed. Hanbin with his face to the door.
For the spirits of the Paris Eternal.
Score.
That was
0.
the most one-sided round
In a while.
Circuit Royale this season. Wow.
It was, yeah, I mean, maybe like towards point B they put up a little bit of a defense, but after that for Paris, there's nothing. Dallas with 253 in the time bank. I mean, that is a really fast time here. Love to know if that's the fastest time we've seen on this map. It's got to be up there.
Yeah, I think so, and we'll maybe ask our dedicated stats team, or maybe able to get back to us on that one, but. Matt, whichever way you slice it, the Sigma composition's obviously really good at benefiting from, you know, Widow picks or like strong positioning from your Widowmaker. Hanbin is extremely confident in this particular matchup, and I mean he's 7-0. So is Edison, to be fair. But there's only 6 kills scored by the Paris Eternal, and 4 of those were from Glister.
Yeah.
Obviously, whose Widow definitely can stand up to Gurio. I think that there's just so many threats on the Dallas side of things that the Eternal. I mean, fundamentally, I don't think they can stand toe-to-toe with Dallas, so the strategy doesn't really matter at that point. If they can't make this comp work, then we're never going to be able to get into a deeper discussion about the minutia here because they just can't get there.
Once you go all in with Vistola as the tank, you need to make this comp work. Zarya doesn't have the ability to access high ground, really. He doesn't have the shielding. Can't really go to
legal grapple from Glister, but we'll let it go, considering they're already down by 2 maps. Don't worry, I got you.
It was on the ledge.
Definitely calling the police on that one. Edison on that recall. Okay, Chio gets caught there by Vistola. Look at them push forward here. So the Paris Eternal definitely trying to take the initiative here. Lovely little rock on Hanbin.
Yeah, that's nice.
Couldn't really pay Vistola much heed. They get stomped.
Yeah, so Paris, the really good first push on offense. They knew they're a little bit behind, obviously, in terms of what they're going to have to do in terms of time bank and map completion. So need to get off to a good start, and they did. Can they get the card? I think this is going to be pretty hard, where you're going to have the high ground for the Dallas Fuel. How do you're going to have to look at Glister to try and get a pick.
Yeah, I think a lot is predicated on whether Gurio can find an opening kick here, or how safely the Fuel can set up. Because yeah, the sidelines aren't as good for Glister here. You know where he is. Played enough 1v1 Widow headshot, I can see. He's not really satisfied with the kind of perches he's been able to access thus far. Okay, this is good, yeah. Putting some pressure on the enemy Widow, excuse me. Had to chuckle at that one is important, but Glister punches.
Yeah, they end up getting rid of Hanbin though, so that's the player that you would have had contesting the payload. So it looks like it's just going to be...
He's back.
Yeah, it's going to be Edison there. Get on it, but how long can he contest it? I mean, doing his best decay impression here. It's not going to last that long as Paris, they take that first point. 4 minutes plus in the time bank. Pretty good offense here to kick things off.
Ooh, God. Wow. I mean, I don't think Fielder wanted an inverse mohawk when he got that free haircut, but it's not really up to him. Gurio able to find a pick there, but yeah, Khan's obviously pretty impactful. Gurio is playing pretty passive. That's a beautiful shot though on Khan. Finding a headshot. There's a lot of motion happening right now. Oh, I fell out of a poison mine. Are you kidding me? Dridro gives him a bit of this, bit of that. We'll definitely back him up, but 2 kills from your Widow is probably enough.
Oh, without a doubt. And push on forward. Nothing that Glister can do here is they'll have walls set up now. You know where the payload is. The Dallas Fuel obviously don't have to jump down to contest like they were before, so they can sit up on that high ground and don't have to worry about dropping down. This is where they can burn some of that clock off as Glister jumps up top. Can't get over that shield. There'll be walls from both teams.
Yeah. Gurio as the defending Widow will just wait for Glister to use his sights there. Wabba! Airborne here, Transcendence will prevent that initial damage in the Pulse Bomb. Okay, interesting one there. It can definitely get a kill.
Yeah, the Pulse Bomb actually was stuck on the Khan, but he had the Transcendence, so...
Yeah. Maybe not the target you're looking for there. One with the blade in hand still, but Fielder's been able to hold tightly on towards that Transcendence. Wipes is looking to poke for the time being and look for an opportunity. No bio nade here, so the fights aren't predicated on whether Arna's hit nades here, Matt. Quite interesting. Khan been getting overwhelmed, has to be Transcendence here. Does one hold the blade? Because he should. No.
He's going to go for it. It's a nice stun there by Hanbin, takes him out. Is that going to be enough to get a hold here? Khan with 2 more kills as he's been fantastic on the Zen.
Fielder finds one though of his own. Gurio might need to step up here and make the impact. There's a Sigma in play though, it's so hard. I think, yeah, Gurio has to give this one up here. The Paris just trade up in terms of personnel. And again, they've got 4 minutes on the clock to finish the map.
Yeah, they have a ton of time. Paris at a pretty good time here on Circle Royale. So they'll continue to play the Widowmaker going into this stage of the map as Pistola does have that Gravitic Flux. No support ultimates available for the Dallas Fuel. How do the Dallas Fuel decide to play this? Do you want to take a fight early? Do you want to wait a little bit? Just kind of play from that high ground, let Edison poke. So they have to know that Gravitic Flux is on the line.
Okay. Same position here for the Fuel. Notice they're not trying to wrap around any further than this. The Eternal tried to be a bit more harassing on defense. Pretty safe positions taken up here by Dallas, and they're planning to hold for a long time there because they've let the cart move most of the way through this last stage of the map, Matthew. Here comes the Eternal towards the outside. It's Hanbin caught in the Gravitic Flux, but he can throw up his hands back up here.
Yeah, and he's also got a shield. Nice help there from Gio, able to get right in front. So Edison's job is to just contest the cart, and that's where you like having the Tracer versus a Genji in this type of situation. The recall, make a big play as Jojo just forced into the corner. But the recall and the dashes being able to, a huge difference. Glister ends up taking out Rio, so maybe he can actually come back. It's going to be a little bit, I mean, I think he'll have Rio coming off spawn by the time everybody on Paris comes back, but still, maybe you're able to make something out of that.
I think that's by far going to be the best option for the Eternal, or at least the best resource to leverage, is that Glister probably has the better of Gurio in this head-to-head on the Widow. At least his advantage is an attacker by being able to select different angles. Gurio's a little more hedged. Here, for example, Glister's able to wrap around, but he's detected. It's Edison taken down, though. Swipe going to maybe sink here as the card gets pushed in. Dallas have to come up with something pretty quickly now as the Eternal are going to force their hand.
Yes, well, forces Rio back to the spawn. If somebody's got a touch here, it's okay. It's going to be Hanbin. Jumps down, get a touch. There'll be walls from both sides. Fielder's still holding on to this Transcendence.
I mean, man, that is huge. Dallas, with just a rally, are able to drop down and hold on. Khan uses his Transcendence there, but crucially, Fielder does not have to. He gets to hold on to that ultimate, That is such a big difference maker here now into the next fight. The Dallas Fuel can play more aggressively and furthermore, much harder to burst Hanbin down.
Especially with the Blade still available or the Paris Eternal. If you would have gotten that Transcendence out, maybe you give Wub, your new player, an opportunity to win the game here, push you over the line at the end, and
Eddie.
he just
shoot! Unreal value. It looks like Dreja was able to back away from the bomb. It looked like it didn't even stick, to be honest with you. But the Eternal were grouped up so much.
I think
a double pulse bomb kill is so rare in Overwatch 2 because everyone groups up so much less.
I think it stuck to the shield.
And maybe he dropped the shield.
And then he dropped the shield. That's what happened there, I think.
And then the pulse bomb goes onto the ground, but you should be able to bring the shield back up and maybe get away, but that didn't happen, and that's a backbreaker for Paris, Matt. They've lost their lead, they've lost any momentum they had, and there's still a Transcendence to play into.
That's a lot of time off the clock here, as you're going to have last fight territory coming up.
Oh, that's annoying for Wub.
He needs
Cannot get into a sneaky spot. Here we go, 25 on the clock. Discord Orb on Vistola. Khan has to play safe. Oh dear. Look out for Edison once he comes knocking. Here's the rally from Drejo now. Hanbin drops to the low ground. That's maybe an issue. The Transcendence gets used here by Fielder. Edison, no, can't get away from Khan though, who 180s and slaps Edison, makes it 2. Again, Khan showing why he's rated so highly by so many people. Hanbin able to get a bit of kinetic grasp here to block some of the damage, but eventually he's brought down too. The Eternal deconstructs Paris here, rather Dallas, player by player. Now Edison needs to try and stall that a little longer. Up to the high ground goes Glister. He's hit with a Discord Orb, but he's able to get away to safety, and Edison finally going to be brought down. Dallas run out of gas here, but they are well ahead in time bank because Paris only get it done in overtime.
Yeah, Paris will get a minute added to their time bank, and same with Dallas, but good on Paris for being able to complete the map. Wub with the Blade just uses it to force out the Transcendence. And it's really the pickoffs from Khan, as Khan has had a really good map on the Zen. Some really nice things out of him today in a series where there hasn't really been much bright spots for the Paris Eternal, but
I must say, it's been pretty messy. A lot of sort of eliminations for both teams, but Khan only is behind Glister on final blows at 8 to 10. Glister is 10 and 10 right now. Definitely very, very involved. Hanbin is at 12 final blows, as is Edison. So yeah, a lot of involvement from Hanbin in the overall kill tally, which is maybe no surprise after how much Dallas pushed forward on their attack. They're on defense once more now, as Paris have the vastly smaller time bank to work with here. And the Eternal need a hot start in this round. There probably won't be any Tor Moira, sorry to disappoint people. Khan is pretty good at the video game, man. He really get treated when he moves to the Zen.
I mean, the supports for Paris are just really strong. It's just they can't really kind of put it together everywhere else. I feel when you watch Khan and Drejo play, you kind of feel for him a little bit, right? In the sense that you know what they're capable of. We see these moments from these players just not able to get those crucial team fight wins. Is a pick goes wrong here for Paris, like Rio comes up with an early kill, things could spiral out of control.
Ilios, though, is playing very safe. Look where he's standing here. Really hard for Glister to find him. Glister was also, taking a fairly sneaky angle, not trying to.
They want to just burn clock
early.
Right? You just keep having Edison get onto the payload, touch it a little bit. At this point, you're gonna be in like a one-fight territory.
Yeah, I feel like maybe Paris are better served by throwing caution to the wind here and trying to gain some momentum off a playmaking moment, rather than try and grind the fuel down. We'll see. Hanbin, kinetic grasp, gets him away. Like a Glister finds Chigo there as he has to back up and his shield gets broken down. This is good. This should be a matter of the Eternal running over Dallas.
Oh, without a doubt. That Fielder just trying to build up some ultimate charge. So Paris, they'll get the payload moving. Can they complete this first checkpoint? It's going to be tough, as it's like Glister going high in the sky, trying to get a pick coming off the spawn. Edison probably going to be the one to touch here.
Yeah, they're in good shape though. I think it's tough for Dallas to get their players in position to properly contest.
Yeah,
they leave it.
Yeah, they leave it.
I'm assuming that's intentional. They've got 4 minutes to work with, in fairness. They definitely need to put this nonsense to a start now if they can. Guerrero over the top once more, but has found pretty little in terms of those eliminations here. Right, Glister knows where his opposite number will be, but again, that's another factor to consider. Edison lights him up.
There's nothing you can do there. Comes right over the top of his head as Edison with 2 pulse bomb on the ground. Gonna do some damage, but 2 kills going in favor of Paris Eternal.
No healing left for Dallas. Vestola able to make short work of that backline and get rid of Hanmin as well. This is looking very good for Paris. This is what they need to make happen now. Dallas looked good at the start of the fight, but it was all Edison and no one else.
Yeah, and those support ults came up big as Jojo able to use that rally con, getting closer towards the Transcendence. Dallas gonna have an opportunity to stop it before checkpoint B, but some good progress thus far from the Paris Eternal.
Blade available for one, but it will be into Fielder's Transcendence here. Still, may as well force it out and rip the band-aid off while he can. I can't get more close at Harmon's lost his shield. They have to go for preemptive Transcendence. One waits a little longer than goes in. There's going to be a rally there from Chio as well. Dallas are trying to end things here. One's caught in the gravitic flux. He's not going to be able to survive that one. Harmon makes it 2, and that's going to be the end of it for Paris. A pretty impressive run with only a minute to work with, but still, that's where they end.
Yeah, with only a minute on the clock, really good run from the Paris Eternal. Dallas played a little bit passive. You know, you have a lot of time in the bank to work with, but still could come back to bite them as the Paris Eternal. The pretty nice job there. Gets it right before that second checkpoint.
I definitely feel like, you know, we talk about, you know, first picks being so important in Overwatch 2. That gets exacerbated with this kind of composition, I think.
Oh, yeah.
You know, a Sigma or, like, you know, Widowmaker creates a pick. Then you don't have to worry so much if you're Brigitte about keeping your shield up and avoiding randomly getting headshot. And you can also, you know, use your Sigma to start scaling forward with that barrier, you know, project it forward, move up, pressure down with accretion as well. So teams tend to fall apart after losing a player to that Widow pick, depending on who it is, especially if it's the enemy Widow. Same comps here, no changes, no surprise either.
Yeah, I mean, I would not expect them to change off of these compositions at this point. We've kind of seen enough where maybe the only thing for Paris is like, do you want to do something other than the Genji, but not really needed. Hanbin hovering the Reinhardt here.
Yeah, probably see a switch off of that. The only thing I can think of is obviously, you know, if you can play a rush composition and get in front of Sigma's shield, but it's too easy for poke comps to get value out of the way the map is laid out, these long sight lines. Speaking of which, Ilios looks to exploit them straight out of the gates.
So it's just a little bit of a turn there, looks down, trying to hide his head. Khan has had a fantastic map. Early pickoff, yeah.
Just unreal.
With a Tracer hunting down too.
You called him a bright spot before we got to see him on set, so
yeah,
he's really making a name for himself, continuing to rather on this team. Harmon's shield is currently regenerating, so he'll play safe for a time. Gurio is given a Discord Orbs, he tries to back up, but that's it. Paris just get crunched there. It's Fielder that actually finds the pick on Khan. His pod composition's so volatile, so scary. You know, either the Zen, the Widow can create these picks and then it's over.
The Tracer just applies so much pressure to, like, the Genji.
Seems better than the Genji.
I think it is, even though Genji able to access that high ground way easier, it's still, I don't think, you know, you can do so many things with stalling the cart with the Tracer putting a lot of pressure on the Widowmaker, the Zen constantly. The Genji doesn't seem to have the same type of impact.
Well, it's his power spike occurs mostly during that blade, right? Whereas Edison is able to, you know, safely hit the back line at any time. That's Gurio. Finds that elimination there. Losing the Sigma. Oh no, and being caught on the point after giving up the checkpoint. That's pretty disastrous now. It's the kind of stagger that Paris were hoping to avert. And now Dallas are within striking distance of a 3-0 sweep.
Yes, few players get staggered out here, as this will allow Dallas Fuel to get some good payload progress around this corner, potentially setting up a final fight. You'll have both support ults, you have a Gravitic Flux. And you're gonna have all 5 ultimates for the Dallas Fuel here. It's gonna be tough for Paris to fight out of this. Those late staggers give so much progress here.
All right. Infrasight from Gurio. If he pops it early, Glister can't answer it. This is a window of danger here. Okay, Glister actually just hit a big shot and then gets it straight away, so forget about it. Gravitic Flux. Okay, bit of damage there onto the Stolen by the looks of things, but Edison's been taken down by one. long range. Transcendence now as well, and the Eternal really
Not
trying
enough to
take
save
it
Judra,
to their own hands. Gio able to pick him off, and yep, Dallas decide, okay, Transcendence now because we're in mid-air. No one's going to die when they hit the ground to this gravitic flux, and here comes the blade after the fact, and they stop Wub! Okay, Accretion comes in, Bob's able to avoid it here. A couple of blade slashes remaining, but he's brought down. He's maybe not respecting the damage of the front line, and Dallas are going to push on that one, punishing the Eternal. And that cart's almost done. Edison been shepherding it forward the entire time. He might have been hit with a Discord, but Carnigan takes him down, and Edison just can't believe it. It won't matter, though. The heroics of Khan are not enough to keep the Eternal in the fight, and they too will be swept. It's a 3-0 Dallas Fuel.
Good performance there from Paris on the third map, just not enough in the end. This Dallas looks really strong today. I mean, Hanbin on whether it's the Sigma or the Zarya looks dominant in that tank role. Up there with, maybe the best in the league right now.
I mean, we aren't seeing a whole lot of Sigma play in general. That was where Hanbin is supposed to be the most fearsome, right? But the Zarya look for this team gels really well, and it looks like Dallas are confident about playing that into multiple different setups, right? Whether it's Vistola or whether it's Dan, Dallas had the answer every single time. Let's talk about our player of the match now, Matt, for the Dallas Fuel. We were just talking about them. I think it's pretty safe to hand this one over to Hanbin, whether Zarya or Sigma. This guy had it on lock.
It allows him to play a style that is so difficult for other teams to counter. It's really around how great his Zarya play is, and then when you see there on Circuit Royale, the ability to switch over and play that Sigma. He learns to the grabs were sick. I mean, if he's able to add like a little bit of a Winston play to his game, I mean, he is going to take things to another level in that tank role this season.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, Matt. What is next for Hanbin and for the Dallas Fuel? Obviously, it means a lot to them to sort of be able to qualify here for some home games during the Countdown Clash. And looks like they're on a very, very safe trajectory to do so now, being 4-1. But that aside, we saw Hanbin play a little bit of Winston. It looks like Dallas obviously weren't looking to commit to that too heavily. There's still Fearless waiting in the wings. Pretty impressive stat line, though. Upwards of 10 final blows per 10 here. It's the deaths per 10 at 3.2 that just blows my mind, because of someone who's in the front line, 95% of the time, Hanbin didn't really die very much at all.
No, they were not able to punish him today in this series. Really, we haven't seen anybody punish him that much in that Zarya role. You know, you mentioned as well, if a Winston actually became meta, maybe Hanbin learns it, but you also have Fearless on this team still. I mean, they are absolutely stacked.
Yeah, this team is looking pretty fearsome right now. Still more to be told in the story of the Dallas Fuel, though, especially for the kickoff clash. But when we come back, we've got one more game on your Sunday to wrap things up here. It's been one-sided so far. Let's see if that remains the case or not. Don't go too far.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Upper Deck, the official trading card of the Overwatch League. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Welcome to Game Break, everybody. I'm here joined now by Chio from Dallas Fuel. Yeah, Chio. Hi, Chio. Please say hello to everybody.
Hello.
자, 치오 선수 안녕하세요. 반갑습니다. Yeah,
안녕하세요.
introduce yourself. 자기소개 시작.
저는 이번엔 댈러스 퓨얼의 메인 힐러를 맡고 있는 치오라고 합니다.
Hello, everybody. My name is Chio, and I play main support for the Dallas Fuel team. All right. I mean, this was a quick 3-0 for the Dallas Fuel, and I do want to ask because you're one of the few players that recently joined the Dallas Fuel team as a rookie player. Were there any added pressure because of that? Because I mean, Dallas Fuel last season and even this season, they're one of the stronger teams that we have in the league. 첫 번째 질문은 아무래도 달라스 팀이 저번 시즌부터 굉장히 좋은 모습을 보여주고 있고 지금 좀 강팀 중에 한 팀이라서 이번에 달라스 팀으로 오게 되면서 좀 잘해야 된다는 그런 압박감이나 그런 긴장감 같은 게 좀 있으셨나요, 치유 선수?
조금의 압박감은 있긴 했는데 그래도 저희 팀원 선수들이 다들 이제 많이 잘한다는 걸 아니까 다른 팀 들어간다 생각한 거 비교하면은 좀 덜한 것 같아요, 압박감이.
All right. I mean, I did feel a little bit of that pressure, but I know that all of my teammates are super good players. They're really talented players. So if I had to go into another team, I think I would have felt a lot more pressure to perform. But right now, I'm in a good team, so I do feel a little bit, but not as much. All right. And also, Johnny reinforced it, told me that you and Chorong from Toronto Defiance, a lot of people are saying that you guys are one of the best rookie main supports that we have in the league, and there's a lot of talk about that. Who do you think is better? Do you think you're the better main support, or do you think Chorong is better than you, and why? 두 번째 질문은 지금 저희 또 여기 미국 중계진 한 분이 저한테 얘기를 해주셨는데 초롱 선수랑 또 치오 선수 두 분이 지금 많은 팬분들이 얘기하기에 둘이 좀 지금 우리가 지금 가지고 있는 루키 신인 서포터 메인 힐러 중에서 되게 제일 잘하는 두 명이다라는 얘기가 많다고 하더라고요. 치오 선수가 보실 때는 누가 더 잘하나요? 치오 선수인가요? 아니면은 초롱 선수인가요?
그냥 둘 다 비슷하게 잘한다 생각하는데 저는 아무래도 그냥 둘이 스타일 차이가 많이 나가지고 저랑 초롱 선수랑 그래서 그냥 스타일 차이인 것 같아요. 실력은 똑같은 것 같아요, 제 기준에선.
Okay, so Chio says that they are both really good players, but I think they just have different styles. So they're just stylistically different. But other than that, like their skill level is about the same. But I mean, hey, so I mean, you did say there's stylistic differences. So then, can you just explain a little bit more on how you guys play differently? 방금 이제 좀 스타일이 좀 다르시다고 얘기했는데 그러면은 이제 실력 말고 스타일적으로 치오 선수랑 그리고 초롱 선수랑의 좀 이렇게 스타일 좀 이렇게 뭐라 그러지? 차이가 있다면 어떻게 다른가요, 둘이?
네, 초롱 선수는 이제 제 개인적으로는 뭔가 기본적인 걸 조금 포기한 대신에 한 방을 노리는 스타일이고 이제 저는 한 방 같은 걸 이제 포기한 대신에 기본적인 걸 좀 더 탄탄하게 한다? 이런 쪽이라 생각해요.
Okay. I think the main difference between me and Chorong would be that Chorong has more of like a one big hit. He goes for that one big hit, whereas I sort of forgo that aspect and I try to play more consistently and try to get the basics down more. All right, interesting. Chio, thank you so much for your time. That is it for the interview. And again, big congratulations on the win. 자, 이걸로 인터뷰 마치도록 하겠고요. 오늘 인터뷰 해주셔서 너무 감사드리고 오늘 승리 또다시 너무너무 축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
All right, bye. What are you laughing?
Yeah, that was nice. Both of you were like, bye, and he was like laughing. It was nice.
I love that. Do you tell them to like wave, or is that
No.
just the reaction of you waving?
I don't know. I never told her I'd say bye, and did you say bye? Yeah.
We waved too at the end of Watch. Like, bye.
I guess we do, yeah. Also, it's rather rude if someone waves at you and you're not waving back, right?
I'm always
So
a
I
little bit careful because there's a slight delay.
The delay makes them ever so slightly awkward and endearing, so I do love that. Now, let's talk about the match. It was over in a blink. It was a one-sided affair. It was pretty much everything we expected. So, Costa, please break it down for us.
Wow, how do I keep getting thrown these ones? The Dallas Fuel just did exactly what we expect from them. They have Hanbin on that Xayah, absolutely dominant. The Dallas Fuel style, they're sort of pioneering how this Xayah style should be played, and we're seeing so many teams copy them. For the Paris Eternal, we saw a couple of different looks from them. We saw Dan come in, did not really work trying to dive against that Xayah. Midtown, I didn't really want to talk about Midtown, to be honest. That map was over, it wasn't close. There's not a lot to talk about that one. But I think I've unlocked the secret for the Paris Eternal, and it clicked to me on Circuit Royale, and I think for a lot of other people. I don't know what everyone else needs to play, but the path to success for the Paris Eternal is just play Khan on Zenyatta. That dude frags. He was one of the driving forces for this Paris Eternal team on why that map was so close. He is so good at just making plays. Honestly, every time I watch him play, I feel like I get 2018 Jonak vibes. He seems to pull something out of nothing almost consistently. How they ended up finishing that third checkpoint was on the back of Khan's incredible play, and you're probably going to start to see some of those come up on your screen right now. Obviously, you can't play Zenyatta everywhere, and that might be an unrealistic expectation, but if you're the Paris Eternal, you need to play to your strengths, and I think you look at that and be like, we need to find ways in which we can get Vestola onto the Sigma, we can get Khan onto the Zenyatta. Anywhere they can do that, they can make it work, because I think that was the best look that I've seen from them so far this year.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think sometimes, it's early on in the season and everyone's so itchy to sort of like, oh, this team is good, this team is bad, and like we've had so much expectation of all these teams, but at the end of the day, it's just stage one, right? And right now, this is what the current meta is. You're seeing a lot of Soldier and Tracer, and Soldier's already been changed in Overwatch 2. You reduce the bullet damage a little bit, changes to Visor, etc. So coming to next stage, I mean, we might get a Risa meta, I was about to say. We might get a Reinhardt meta. London would be like a top team. We don't really know yet. And for Paris Eternal, if you could get into one of those Sigma, Zenyatta consistently, I mean, he can kick now.
I was about to say it, and then he can kick. Imagine that.
True.
Con kick. Oh, that's a nice one.
Con kick. Yeah, coin it now. Now, we do have one more match coming your way, and that is the Washington Justice going up against the Boston Uprising. And there was a 85% pick him for Washington here to close out the day. So again, expectations are one-sided. Danny, do you think the match will live up to those expectations?
I don't know. For the 15% of people who pick Boston, I think they're true fans.
True fans.
True fans.
We love that, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. I think this is going to be an uphill battle for Boston. Yeah. But I do predict that one team is going to win and one team's going to lose.
Again, the hard-hitting analysis, and he's not wrong with that. That's right, Scott. You can learn a lot from those.
What? Am I really? I just broke down the last match perfectly, and then Danny's going to say that, and he's going to be like, oh, wow, good job, Danny. This is, I can't win. Just because I'm not in the truck, I'm getting bullied.
There seems to be a bias towards people who are here in person, the real friends, and people who don't show up to work like other people. Either way.
In a box.
Here's in a box. Speaking of boxes, we've got two more for you. These ones go by the name of Lemon Kiwi and Leg Day, and that will bring you all the action for that last match of the day.
Thanks so much, Zoe. Yep, we have another amazing match coming around the corner to end off our day. A pretty chill day, I would say. Boston Uprising versus the Washington Justice. But this has some pretty important implications when it comes to the kickoff clash. Boston sitting in 10th. Remember, only top 8 go to the kickoff clash. So if Boston still have kickoff clash in their sights, this is a must-win series. But keeping them from that possibility is the Washington Justice. So that's gonna be a tough boss to get through.
Yeah, thus far, Lemon, this has been a good day for speedrunning enthusiasts. It's been games done quick all the way through, but if Boston want to be making it to our kickoff clash, this needs to be either a 3-0 sweep in their favor or an extended game where they can try and nick some maps off of the Washington Justice, who are looking pretty good and pretty angry after being swept by the Dallas Fuel. Since then, they've had a considerable bounce back, and I think that a lot of people are saying Washington Justice is going to win those ones, and they're not particularly hot takes, and they're pretty well informed, because at the moment, Happy We Know is fragging out, but Decay, who has been here and there, Decay's either the best player in the world on your team, or sometimes exists only in a hypothetical state. He's like Schrodinger's Giga Fragger. Sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not. You never know until you observe him within the map, but Happy and Decay have definitely been a tour de force recently on the Justice.
I mean, I think Decay is looking unmatched on the Tracer thus far, and even gapped Nero from the Atlanta Reign. And speaking of Atlanta, I mean, Washington Justice had a massive bounce back from, you know, that 3-0 Dallas Fuel situation that happened last week to beating the Atlanta Reign, which a lot of people thought Atlanta was maybe over the Justice. I know everyone's power rankings are all over the place, but Washington Justice are on the up and up. But let's look at the Boston Uprising. I actually got to talk to Coach Mineral yesterday, because I think any Boston fan is wondering what is going on with Boston. Where is Striker? What's going on with the tank situation? We saw Itzal yesterday. That looked just the structure wasn't there. And Mineral said there's a lot of long-term plans. All of the team is working very hard, and there's a lot of complicated situations happening in the back room, but I'm excited for Punk to be starting. When I spoke to Mineral about their tank situation, he said Punk is the most flexible, communicative, and also just the best leader for this team.
And you've got to think about how much pressure that puts on Punk. Let's not sugarcoat this, Lemon. Boston Uprising are kind of an org and a team in crisis right now, when they are trying their best to sort it out. But when it comes to in-game, you have to look towards that spiritual core that will keep your team being able to play at their individual best, even if as a team you might be not as effective as you otherwise would have hoped, and that is Punk. And his flexibility and his reliability when it comes to a skill on both the off and occasionally the main tanks as well has been one of a few things that have kept Boston Uprising in these games. Boston Uprising's only win so far, that one against the 3 Lemon, we cast it. It was their first match against the Vancouver Titans, and we gave Punk the player of the match because he was the standout player in that victory.
And just talking to Mineral about what the plan is for Boston, now you're wondering, okay, where would be Striker? Why is Victoria playing over that? Or Itzal, why would you swap in Itzal in the middle of the series yesterday? And the Boston, from what I've been told, are trying to balance between getting immediate wins versus obviously giving their rookies and their bench players some play time and really focusing on the long term of developing them. So they're working very hard at doing so. And then there's the MCD versus Crimzo situation, where Mineral was telling me, well, MCD is more likely to play if Itzal is in the lineup due to Itzal's English not being all the way good yet, so the Korean communication is important between MCD and Itzal. But for now, Punk and Crimzo are in, and Punk has played a lot of Zarya as of late.
I mean, it fits for the ethos that Boston Uprising as an organization have always had, right? The president of gaming, Huck, has always been a big fan of scouting and picking up the lesser rated players and being able to turn them into gems. Although for Boston Uprising, sometimes that the conversion of talent into online performance and league performance as well has been a little bit tricky here and there. Washington Justice, no surprise as to what they're bringing out. It's all reliable for Washington Justice, who don't seem perturbed by Dallas's attempt to change the meta.
And although Zarya and Reaper is very meta right now, the easy way to deal with the Zarya is to simply overwhelm her. The Zarya composition is built on kind of a slower pace of play and building up energy. And what Washington did is just collapse all around Punk. And there is a slight delay between the first and second bubble if Punk wants to use it on himself, selfishly. So Washington Justice identified that gap and just wiped out Boston immediately.
One augmentation that Washington have done here is that they've swapped Happy from a soldier onto a Reaper, like to do even more damage to Punk, maybe identifying that, hey, if we can get rid of this leader, Boston Uprising quickly fall apart without Punk to lead them in the front lines.
I think Zarya is pretty good also against Tracer. You see that everybody that Decay likes to go after, especially Crimzo, is going to receive a lot more attention from Punk, and I think Punk is going to want to mark who Decay is going after. Speaking of which, Decay is looking for a health pack, looking for some friends. Justice are getting weaker. Happy has been found, and Boston might have given up the point at the start. It's about 40% for the Justice. You have some ultimates for the Justice, but not feeling like they want to turn this 4v5 around.
Worth noting as well that yesterday Boston Uprising did win a map against the Toronto Defiant. That was a control map, and to be honest, I'm not sure if it was Boston winning it or Toronto losing it, but it's still a map in the column, Lemon, and maybe Boston Uprising are particularly good at control. It is one of those maps where mechanical skill can really start to carry you through a little bit more, not quite as much coordination and long-term planning required, and Boston Uprising may thrive on that.
Well, there's a Death Blossom in the backline. How did Valentine get there? And that's why you always have to mark where that Reaper is and really use your ears. I know sometimes that's a difficult concept for some Overwatch players, but you can hear the Reaper behind you, and you have to have your bubbles, your shield. Even a Lucio boop is enough to deter that Death Blossom, but that was a great ult from Valentine.
Yeah, good usage of a shield and a nano as well. I think that Crimso probably gave a nano over onto Valentine as the TP was happening to make sure Valentine could be bursted down on arrival, even if that bubble was broken.
Oh,
and here is the tag visor. Interesting choice.
Visor from Victoria on the high ground, stepping down, maybe a little bit premature. Thought he saw Justice coming through the hallway. Decay at the pulse. Mag will lay down the red carpet. Valentine receiving some attention and even a bubble from Punk. Punk is close to the Graviton Surge as Justice start taking angles around. The pulse almost misses or almost hits as Mag got slumped in front of Decay. Now the sound barrier from Boston into the Graviton Surge. Boston investing a lot of ultimates and the kills follow through. Oh, and a jump from Mag. He gets out safe, and Boston, they get the point.
Yeah, but now Mag's like deep in enemy territory. Yeah, that has to be the reset. This one was a little bit more intentional than False's one earlier in the day. Sorry, mate, but that still stings in my mind. I'm going to take those brain cells back by any means necessary. Washington Justice now have Happy ready to move in with a Death Blossom. There's not too much to be able to support this Lemon. No bubble, no nano. The only thing that can be bought alongside it is a speed boost from Opener. So this needs to be primo stealth mode for Happy, and thus far that has not been achieved.
And this is last fight. Boston at 97%. Washington have to get ready to touch. It will be Decay on the job. Valentine forced to use the Wraith. Could be a target that the Justice want to dive on. And Mag does just that. Uses the bubble to maybe split off the heals that Crimso is providing. The Death Blossom from Happy. Mostly negated. He was even biotic-grenaded, which made him just want to back off a little bit. But Mag disconnected from that approach. He went in without Happy. And he got found. Valentine finishes off a second. The tac visor committed from Boston. And now they have the capture point back. Overtime about to go away. Is Decay there? He's in the shadows with a pulse bomb, but it won't be Opener getting the touch. Decay will be back, coming back from spawn. Valentine's gonna shut the door on this round. Death Blossom mostly stopped by the shielding, and Washington Justice just struggling to get back on this point, and they cannot. 166 for the Boston Uprising.
I didn't quite see it there, but I think that Faith actually just kept Mag off the point with a mid-air boop, which stopped Overtime from being refreshed again by the tank, who would have had a little bit more staying power there with the shield. So excellent job by Faith. And I think that Washington Justice here might have got, they might have anticipated a little bit more of a happy gappy when it came to the Reaper, because they didn't really have many tools to help enable the Reaper, like you have from Punk being able to bubble Valentine continuously. And I think that may have left them in a poor position when it came to those particular clashes, but maybe a Soldier 76 would have helped better in, or have Mag on the Zarya, which we know might not be in his comfort zone. Speaking of comfort zones, Punk is flexing over once again to the main tank, but we've heard from Boston Uprising that they are prizing the flexibility that Punk brings to the table, while also being able to call supremely well, which is so important on Winston.
Yeah, Punk has been one of the off-tanks in the league that have really stepped up to learn all these different tank rules, and I mean, look at that, I praise him and he delivers, immediately killing Krillin. Is going to kill this fight for the Justice. We're fighting for high ground, and you gotta be careful for those headshots and the right click from Soldier, because that'll end you right quick.
Gotta give credit to Crimso as well. An excellent anti onto Krillin, generating an Ana differential here. And once again, Washington are going to be playing from behind Lemon. Having to enter into the zone of influence of Victoria means there's an extended, powerful poking phase for Boston Uprising, where, look at this, resources can easily be taken out.
And Boston just really greedy for this high ground, not really wanting to drop, and I wonder if Punk's bubble wasn't used in time, because Crimso dying first there means they just really wanted to stick up there, and Washington Justice pounded them, so it's a good fight for high ground. Krillin was even behind on the rotation to the high ground, which Mag was still able to stay alive throughout that.
Yeah, Boston Uprising, they do like to stay on this high ground, even at potentially the risk of their own lives. Krillin here, instantly going to be under attack, but Opener is playing a good bodyguard right now, and Faith's looking for some knockoffs.
The bubble is still intact for Mag, so it's still a safe space where Justice can hold the space on the high ground. It's going to be important if Happy can stay up here with a tactical visor angle advantage. And I hyped him up, man. What's up? Justice now just only down in DPS. 4v5 is still very much doable. The pulse at the ready for Valentine. And so, wow, I did not think Krillin got stuck by that. I think maybe the tank walked into him. Either way, you have no supports and no hope if you're the Justice right now.
You've just been stuck by the Valentine Tracer. Where's your god now, Reddit? Boston Uprising. In defensive positions still, not trying to play the high ground this time. This looks like a much more aggressive posturing to try and catch people in a zone with a little bit less physical cover, maybe for a nano visor from Victoria. If Crimzo and Victoria can make sure that Washington Justice are going to commit in a place where disengagement's more difficult.
I don't think anyone expected this early of a nano visor, and I don't hate it, but Justice have the spawn room door right there, and I guess you force out Mag's Primal, but yeah, Victoria in a little bit too deep. Now Mag, he gets to engage towards the point. Justice are kind of far behind. At least Krillin is in line of sight. Could give Mag the nano if they want to keep this going, but probably want to save this for Happy's nano visor for a serious win con. Now the highway is getting involved. The cars just ran over Krillin and Mag literally. So now the Justice thought they had to get a counterattack, but I guess not.
Quite toxic from Punk. Washington Justice say counter-attack. Punk says play in traffic, kids, and two of them go to do so. Mag and Krillin both taken out by that Primal Rage. Remember, this is not a seasoned Winston player we're looking at, and Punk getting some supreme value out of the ultimate against a much more experienced Winston like Mag.
Oh, nano visor right in the face of Punk and everyone from Boston heading for the hills. But, I mean, the job is almost done if you're Boston. 99%. Washington Justice use the nano visor. They get the point back. They got a quite big gap to close. And at least they have 2 ults for the next fight.
At this point, Lemon, this would be an in-control reverse sweep if Washington can pull it off. 1 point and 99%. Boston Uprising can take this map if only a single fight win can be negotiated. Would it be off the back of something like a stick from Valentine? Will they be able to find a high-value target like for Krillin again? Valentine's actually coming in almost last at this point. It's going to be checked by the K. This is a tough marking to try and deal with, especially without access to that mini pack, because it means that you have to continually play within the line of sight of your Ana or the zone of influence of Lucia.
Good boot from Opener. You saw Punk trying to take over the high ground. Happy is going to have a serious angle advantage up there, and Valentine doesn't seem... He wants to play more with what Punk is doing. Now the pulse is at the ready for Valentine. A Soundberry use from Opener. Valentine's going to wait. Hits Mag with it. Finishes him off. 5v4 for Boston as Punk now gets the nano. Is pressuring Krillin. Keeps himself alive for now as Punk is just playing hide and seek with Krillin, I guess, at this point. And this is the most Washington Justice this could ever get, to be losing a map to the Boston Uprising.